Yeah, when you work at the government long enough, it kind of rubs off on you.
Hey everyone,
Dreams.
a Big Dream Homestead. Everyone, welcome to Friday night special.
Guilford Patton, how are you?
I'm fine.
Michael, hello.
Michael Ryan here.
Hey everyone.
1, 2.
Anybody hear that ghost?
Nope.
Hear the what?
You didn't hear the ghost?
No. I can make a ghost for you.
We're already devolving into children's play, and we haven't even hardly got started yet.
Okay, Big Dream says they hear an echo. I do not hear. Anybody else
I
here?
don't hear any echoes, no.
Oh, I don't hear an echo.
You hear an echo, Reed?
No.
Big Dreams, who do you hear the echo on?
He probably hears two butt heads.
All right. Thanks, Michael.
Moai, hello.
And good afternoon, evening.
Anna Lee.
Anna Lee, hey.
Sure, Big Dreams. Blame us for your technical difficulties. Thank you. Good thing we have broad shoulders.
Mama Z's, good evening.
Rider Dust. Mama
Yes,
Z's
hello.
Texas
Lizzie
Kitchen. Hey. Lizzie's Acres. I just saw you guys over on Stringfield Ridge.
I'll be darned. It's a vicious circle we weave.
Yeah. And Chris and Sharon are doing a test. We're doing it. They were doing a test live here 10 minutes ago.
Hi, Anthony.
Anthony made it. Ah.
Southern Blessed Homestead, hello.
Hello there. Hey.
Well, we're getting some people. They're popping in.
They're
Yep.
starting to throw through.
You're up
Got
to
15 at the
16.
moment.
I got 16 and 5 likes.
Yeah, better push on that like button.
You got an extra one.
Yeah, 15. Okay.
Hello,
All right.
Paul.
Anthony, did you want to come on up here?
Living and learning life, hello.
Hey, everyone. All right, we're up to 8. No, still
Lori.
16. Hey, Lori. All right, so tonight's topic. Ooh,
We have a topic.
we have a topic.
That's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Do this, guys. Do this.
We have a topic.
I better turn my thing down. We're
Okay, I
down.
hear an echo.
Not now, you don't.
Yeah, okay. It was Will.
It's always Will's fault. Blame Will.
Blame Will. I don't give him credit.
All right, let me pop this open here real quick.
North Star, hey, how you doing? Long time no see.
Okay, I'm trying to see. I got those are seeing me leaning over here. I got my second monitor over here with the actual YouTube on it, and I can actually follow the.
Springfield.
Hey, Teresa and Lee, at Stringfield Ridge Farm. Kathy at North Star Prepstetter. Sorry.
Duncan 1900. Hello.
Hey. Okay. All right. So we're starting to rock here. I was going to try to throw something up here real quick. See if it'll work here.
Now that Howie got in here, what's everybody think about that plane crash?
We'll be talking about that here in a little bit.
Yeah,
Don't spoil it.
come on.
Don't spoil it. Okay.
I want to throw a rock at the airplane.
Okay. Okay, gotta catch that off. So can't get this to work right. Oh well.
What you
I
trying
was
to do?
trying to be super. I was trying to pull out one of the single slides out of the my PowerPoint. So I'll just throw the whole thing up here. So tonight's topic is WW3. Really? What are the possibilities? And so, who wants to go first?
Well, let's see. Let's let the youngin go first.
Okay, Reed.
Will, get started on that.
I want to talk about the airplane, but you won't let me.
That airplane is a done deal. It's already over and done with.
They
They admitted
bulldozed
this
the site even. They just
They admitted
bulldozed
this-
it over and just like, never happened. Wasn't us.
Oh, they took all the plane parts and took them to Tehran. Every one of them.
Nope. They turned
Okay.
over the black box to the Ukrainians.
Well, I'll get started on some of that. So one of the things that I think a lot of people get really wrong when they try to look at history of WW1 and WW2 and think, oh, we're just seconds away from WW3 in today's world, is there's been a lot of interesting developments in the world. Two big items that come to my mind. First one, nuclear weapons. It sort of alters the entire calculus of, do we really want to engage in conflict? It gives a pause to the decision because you're risking hellfire and brimstone raining from the sky.
Yep.
Okay, it does alter things.
Yeah.
The
Not on your enemies, but on you.
The second other super important thing I consider highly changed in the world is countries are far less self-sufficient. There's a global economy. There's lots of trade, interdependencies across industries, manufacturing technologies, and all that other stuff. To decide to go to war and involve that, you risk putting far more at stake today. And that's why you see the superpowers, the US, Russia, and China, all trying to slap down and bring sense to a lot of these other nations because they're trying to keep things stable, because they get, if things start spiraling out of control, even if it's contained on one continent or something like that, it's going to affect everyone massively. And so that's why there's so much focus on what they like to call global national security. I think that's what the CIA labels it or something these days. But
yeah,
those are two really big things that why exactly linking how World War I started up, like the killing of one dude, really makes it hard to say this is the same sort of scenario that is going to cause WW3. I don't see them meshing up very well. The second one is WW2 was caused by a guy who was a madman deciding he didn't care if the world burned, he was going to try. I mean, so we got some things here a little different. And the other thing about the setup part of WW2, though, was Germany, as they were in a giant mess, they were looking for a solution. And when a guy came along and offered, whoops, did everything die on me?
Nope, you're still
Oh,
good.
you're
Am I
still
gone?
going.
You're still there.
Still up.
His phone died on him or something died. Can you hear us?
Oh, yeah, now I'm back. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like everything hung up for a second. I'm like, what the heck happened?
Buffering.
We saw you the entire time. We saw you looking around.
Oh, man. But now, so the other part about when you're looking at, whoops, did it to me again. I'm
Keep
actually
talking.
on a computer of all things, and we're getting this kind of.
Yeah, it's everybody's getting hit with the buffer.
Well, I guess someone else take over for a minute, if you can hear.
The thing I'm seeing, kind of along with Reed on it, is that in order for us to go into World War III, we would be giving up everything. I mean, we all depend on this world trade thing. So if to go to World War III, all these other big power nations, they would have to all of a sudden have to make a decision. Who do we want? What side do we want to be on? I don't think that it's hard for them to understand, that they can't be on the same side and still be able to uh, motivate through a world war. I'm
Right.
probably saying it all wrong, but I'm just saying that, somebody has to take sides. And with what's going on right now, like he said, with nuclear weapons and whatnot, the nuclear weapon thing is like the ace in the hole for everybody because nobody wants to be fired on. I mean, that's just going to screw everybody up, not just one guy, not just one country. It's going to mess a bunch of people up all at the same time. And then we're just going to have to sit there and everybody's going to have to start all over again. It's like with that plane, talk about that plane. Even if there was this, and this was, I didn't watch it all day long or keep up with it all day long. I just watched a little bit of it this morning, and they were saying, well, they suspect that it was shot on by a missile, and there was a possibility of maybe having a bomb on the plane itself. So they're saying, well, it could have been a terrorist attack without anybody really knowing. That's where I left it off. I didn't listen to the thing all the way through the day. I heard enough of it to say, wait a minute, it doesn't even make sense to me,
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Maybe they fired on it twice with a missile, but there's no way that there was a terrorist attack on board that airplane and them fire on it at the same time. It just doesn't.
Watch out, we have Steve lurking in the shadows. Be warned, Steve is lurking in the shadows.
We have a pirate in the shadows.
So, World War III is just so much, I just don't see it happening. There's just no way. I mean, there's just too many factors at risk. I mean, we have all these countries that are so-called badass actors, but at the same time, who's gonna give up the family that's feeding them,
Yeah. All right. So Reed, you were talking about some of the other factors of World War II. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So what was the last thing you heard me say? That's what I was
saying. You talked about the madman thinking that he, not caring, thinking he could take it over, but you also said there was some other factors as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of those factors, I believe, was the economic situation in Japan for them trying to, hey, Titan, kitty Titan, trying to get their oil and their rubber and everything else that they needed for their for the Japanese Empire, and then they were mad about the limitations that we were imposing on them, going out and taking whatever they wanted.
That's for sure part of it, and also one of the things you had to remember in Japanese imperialism, it operated around the idea that the emperor was a manifestation of a god, and that they fully believed, well, they still do in a lot of ways, complete and total Japanese supremacy, and that the rest of the world was their birthright and entitlement. They could take it and do whatever they wished. So whatever they did was right and just because their God ordered it. I mean, so that's one of the things to kind of keep in mind there. It's kind of it is a perspective. Now, I'm not an expert on Japan. I know a little bit of Japanese history. So an expert would probably be able to debate me on this. I don't know. But that's like the basics of what I do know about that time.
Yeah.
So, isn't it that Iran's sort of like that too right now? They figure whatever they do is right in their brain.
Well, one thing to watch out with Iran, though, is like I'll jump into this real quick and then I'll let everyone else talk. Sorry, guys. But
that's
so
okay.
Iran, one of the things when I first started looking at Iran and stuff was when that guy got killed, I saw him kind of like a martyr, and that it was like a Rodney King style thing. Like you'd have these big riots, people mad and all this stuff. And after 2 weeks, it would kind of blow over. Right.
Yeah.
And so like that. But, I've seen these people saying, oh, they're treating him like this Joan of Arc martyr. Well, it turns out there's a couple factors in there. One is basically Most of the people in Iran are just trying to live and get by. People pretty much had the choice: join the mob or else. It was like, get out there and we want this. All the propaganda come out of Iran looks like to pacify the people to not revolt against their own government, because it looks like they're just trying to get them on their own side. It's pretty darn wild, some of the things coming out of there and stuff. But when I was initially looking at it, I forgot one of the old rules. When we're actually looking at the analysis of what the country means and what it's going to do in the world stage, you have to look at their capabilities, and particularly the capability to project force. Iran's capability to project force is minuscule. Absolutely
compared to the world
minuscule.
stage, definitely.
So they may rant, rave, scream, all this other stuff. They need the U.S. and other infrastructures to get their oil processed and stuff like that. They need the relief efforts. They need what little stuff they have just to stay in power. And those guys there, they want their cushy jobs. They want to stay in their cushy palaces and all this stuff. None of them match up with like Hitler or some of these other people that are literally, like the Joker, Batman. They just want to see the world burn. They don't match that sort of thing. And look at it like in America. How many people are passionate about gun rights? I'm really passionate about gun rights. I'm actually one of the few people I know that will drive up to the state legislature and go yell at the guys. Well, I try to be polite, but you know what I'm saying, right? I write letters and all that other stuff. Tons of other people I know that are passionate about their rights, I can't get them to go with me. I have a hell of a time. So to think that this one dude is going to be like this Joan of Arc martyr and it's going to result in all this other additional conflict, I don't see that many people being that passionate about this guy. I just don't see it.
The other thing about this guy, you got to realize in Iran that if a person dies as a martyr for the cause, their family is taken care of by the state. So all those people coming out, guess what? They're all being taken care of by the state because they've had family members who have died as martyrs, and they want to keep getting their money. And what's interesting is this guy, I mean, the only one I compare him to really in history is sort of like, I'm going to say the word, Stalin. And he, because he killed his own people, he's killed everybody around him. He's, the Iranians that are outside of Iran are saying this guy is a mad terrorist. Thank goodness he's gone. And so, it's really weird is that everybody around is, that's outside of our country, and even so, some of those that are inside of our country who know about Iran are saying, yay, he's gone. He was a criminal. He was a murderer. He was a terrorist. Except for a small group of people in the mainstream media who are trying to demonize the president for taking him out.
Well, the thing is, he was like the bad guy for Iran. He did all the bad stuff for him because Iran is basically, I guess the only word I know how to say is they're pussies at being aggressive. So they had this one guy that could go out there and do anything, and they idolized him for it. That's how I look at it. They idolized him for going out and doing all the dirty work for him. So he went out and he created these little subgroups. I can't remember what they call them now, but they're just other terrorist groups in other areas of the world that all he had to do is snap his fingers and they went and did whatever he said. So they were all empowered by that stuff. So when he got whacked, they're all saying, well, good, so we already have his replacement and have for years, Every time anybody has a superpower like that, a guy that'll go out and kill his own people, if he goes down, the next day he's replaced,
Yeah.
So, what's the deal, of saying, oh, they should never have shot that guy? Well, why not? Because there was another guy who took his place 2 days later, and everybody said, oh, he's a badass too, So,
well, let me throw something up here, guys.
Actually, one quick thing, Gil. Since you were in Homeland Security, We got one guy in the chat wanting to spread propaganda, and I got to shut this down. Okay, so wasn't this guy on the terrorist hit list since George W.
Yes,
Bush?
he was.
Yeah, since 1979 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, in fact,
And we've tried to take him out before, if I remember this right. I looked it up.
and Pelosi was supporting Obama when Obama was thinking about taking this guy out before.
Yep.
Okay.
They let it slip in.
So if you guys
mainstream
want to
media.
claim it's all about the impeachment and all that, go play propaganda elsewhere. I'm just not playing that game tonight.
Yeah. Okay, let me throw this up here. Okay, so last year, Iran attacks oil tankers in the Gulf. This guy was in charge of it. He orders the shooting down of U.S. drones. He ordered the seizure of the British oil tanker. They attacked the Saudi state-run oil company. He was behind that. Attacking U.S. bases. He was behind that.
You're forgetting about the U.S. sailors that were captured and held at gunpoint for several days.
Yeah, this is just a sampling. Okay, a small sampling. All right, and then in January, they fire they attacked the embassy, and so Trump goes, take him out, and they took him out, and now they say Trump's trying to start a war. Sorry, but they've been trying to start the war for a couple decades now?
Since 1978.
Yeah.
78, when they originally declared war on the U.S. Then in 79, they took 53 hostages, and it took almost a full year to get them back.
Yeah, so this has been going on for quite a while with this guy. It's not there in my mind. I don't see any single trigger going on right now to start World War III. Even if Iran had the backing, and they don't have the backing from Russia, they don't have the backing from China,
Turkey.
They might have the backing from that little guy with the weird haircut over there across the ocean. But of anybody that has any true muscle military, they don't have the backing of.
Well, they got nothing but time on their hands, and that's how they do their business. If you think about it, they just take their time and they go about it methodically.
They're saying is death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be done today or tomorrow. They'll do it in a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 10 years from now. But slowly they just keep plugging away at it, and that's how they do their business, So that's how I look at it. Is there can't be a war, because if there was a war, they wouldn't be able to keep plugging away at it and making it so that it looks like it wasn't them in the first place,
And Anthony, as far as what you typed in there, no, the U.S. is not innocent. The U.S. is just as guilty as every other nation on this planet. The U.S., through the CIA and various other ABC groups, have stuck their fingers in other countries' business since I was born, 1967. But I'm aware
they've been doing it for a long time.
So the U.S. is no angel.
The reason we got into the Vietnam War, where they wanted that opium out of those opium fields.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, we were involved in the coup in 1953, we were
definitely in a mess there.
Yeah, the problem is that a certain agency who's not supposed to be operating on U.S. soil, only overseas.
Gee, who on earth could you be talking about?
We're not going to say, but because they operate so much overseas without any oversight, really, they cause so much crap. And it's not just over in the Middle East. It's down in South America. It's in Europe. It's like
there isn't a section of the world. If we have any U.S. troops in that area, that group is just as functional as the locals.
And we probably they're more functional in even in areas we don't have troops at.
You know that I swear Iran is like our one of our biggest screw ups. I mean, good grief.
I would say Cuba is.
Cuba.
Oh, I don't. Unfortunately, SOP. Because I wasn't around as much back then. It's not stuck in my head that as well.
Yeah.
I haven't dug into Cuba as much.
Yeah.
Iran's much more forefront because it came
Okay.
up a lot more often.
Yeah.
But
like in my lifetime,
Guatemala, you'll have to tell me about Guatemala later, Anthony. I haven't read much about it yet.
A friend of mine who was an MP in the Army got shot in Guatemala.
like in my lifetime, Cuba was the big thing, but I was a not very tall person when that was about all I heard what was going on from spewing out of my dad's mouth and stuff, you know.
Yeah, and Cuba actually took us a lot closer to WW3 than anything going on today.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah, I watched. It was funny as I watched the movie about the Cuban Missile Crisis, and I was like, "Wow, that's scary." So then I went back and read a lot of stuff that came out of the, because it was Kennedy, the Kennedy Library, you know, the papers and all that back then. It was worse than the movie makes it out to be. I mean, it was really bad.
No, if you go back and look at history, survival bunkers, if you will, the shelters, there was mass people going into serious debt to build those because the threat of nuclear annihilation was imminent, not a possibility like it is right now. It was imminent.
Yeah,
It took a lot of people working to get that to stop.
Americans actually were thinking about it back then. My parents, they had this place out in the sticks, and they had a cabin on top of the ground, but they had a place that we would go to in the case of an emergency. And because that's just how it was, they knew that just had my dad, just as bad at it as I am, would tell us, "Hey, we're going to have to go here when the sirens go off. You know, this is what we're going to do. This is where you have to be." And we would do drills. You know, this is where we're going to go. You know, you guys hear that siren go off, you go here. You know, it was just bad, and Americans were trained for that. I remember back in those days that when I went to school, they actually had air raid drills and stuff in school. You know, you were taught.
Me too.
You know.
Yeah. Duck cover, turn your eyes away from the windows, get under your desk and cover your head.
Yep.
If you can, grab your book and put your book over your head.
So, you know, back in those days, they were actually taught. You know, these days our children aren't even taught. You know, they're just telling you to go about their everyday life. You know, here if you're going to have an earthquake, go to a solid point in your house or something. You know, that's the kind of S.H.T.F. they're teaching people. You know, they're not teaching you how to get away from nuclear attack. You know.
But
David,
going back though, before Jimmy Carter, way back when, so we backed Cuba in their breakaway and everything else, and our little boys from the that three-letter alphabet soup agency was down in there, involved in the whole thing. And then they say, "Okay, we're good here. We don't have to worry about them." And so the government, you know, they reported back that, "Hey, you know, we don't have to really back them anymore. They're behind us and everything else." And so when they withdrew all their support and everything, Castro goes, "What? You abandoned me?" And Russia goes, "We'll help you." That was our screw up.
Well, that's Russia does that all the time. They outweigh us. You know, as soon as we turn our back on these other countries, they step right in.
Well, the thing is, though,
for years.
Castro had dreams of making Cuba part of the United States originally. He had, you know, in his papers and stuff. There's another thing about he wanted the bigger picture of the United States. He was he was what's the word? Basically, yeah, with the United States, with their cars, with everything, and when we turned our back on him, it's like, a spurned lover, yeah. And then he went over there.
Like I say, our biggest mistake with Cuba wasn't just the missile crisis; it was the actual Bay of Pigs. That was our mistake.
That was a follow-up mistake. Yeah. Again,
That was the big one.
Again, a certain agency sticking their fingers in that pie and screwing it up and then withdrawing from it at the last minute.
Okay, I gotta ask because you've said it enough times. Okay, it's one of those theories that's out there for the longest time. How much do you guys think that certain agency had to do with getting rid of Kennedy?
We are not going to talk about that.
No. We do not want channels deleted.
We do not. Yeah, they will take this channel down.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's what happened to
Food Forest.
That's what happened to Food Forest. We will not talk about that.
I'll be
It's not my
damned.
dog. It's not my cat budget. That's over on Will's side. Will's the one with the puppy running around.
Yeah. So we will not talk about that one there.
We know
I had no idea they would just cut you off for even mentioning that stuff.
Yes, they will.
I'll be darned.
Yep.
Howie was
I'm really getting sick of all this censorship stuff. It's really bad.
It is getting bad. I'd love to talk about that subject, but maybe I could do a live stream from Patreon or something, and we could talk about it.
Yeah, that might be the thing to do. Or
hey, kitty cat.
What's the? I just lost it. The other big one. Where a lot of people were going. They were going to the other streaming channel.
Discord.
Oh, D Live. I think it's one of them.
D Live.
Yeah, D Live.
D Live. And that was
Marfugel had to go because YouTube pretty much shut him down.
Yeah. But hey, Taylor.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that ordeal.
Hey, Tyler, but we're not going to take any chances in case that is what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow's my other one over on the place.
Well, I'll have to keep that in mind when I do some of my live streams when I finally get onto that. Jeez. It's like I've also been told you can't handle any guns on the channel anymore in the live stream. And there's a whole bunch of other things.
Firearms.
Firearm. And if you have it, it has to be on a table. You can't touch it at all.
So does black powder count? ATF doesn't call that a firearm.
BB guns don't count, neither do crossbows.
Jeez.
Yeah, but you don't want to have that. You don't want to be playing with that BB gun that is an exact duplicate of.
Like mine, the replica of a 1911.
Yeah.
Now, the another real interesting one that we came real close to for World War III was in 1983, when we did a lot of the. It was an exercise, one of those big U.S. exercises that we did with all those other stuff I think it was the Pacific Fleet and all that other stuff in '83 when Reagan was around, and the Soviets' early warning system went off, and they thought an incoming full-on strike was going on.
Oh, yeah, that was a big thing. Yeah,
that's not the first time that's not the only time that has happened with the Soviets.
No, yeah, it's come really close. And actually, have you guys heard about Soviet system they installed, and they still have it operational? It's just not turned on right now. Most of the time, it's called perimeter or the dead man hand switch. But it's wired up to all these overpressure sensors, light flash sensors, stuff like that in main cities of Russia, so that if nuclear war hit, and for whatever reason the Russia today, that is, their leadership was taken out, it would initiate launch, send the final orders for launch back.
Yeah, it's an automated system that's very archaic.
It is, but the crazy thing, though, is one of the things. Here's another one of the U.S. Great screw-ups that's been annoying. Is when the USSR broke up and all this stuff, and we negotiated treaties with them in the 90s, we promised them NATO would not expand and encroach closer to them. You look at the picture of all the new NATO member nations. We're right up against them, and they really don't like it.
Hang on a second. David, would you like to come up here on the panel? David Lynn.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea to have him up here.
Okay.
Come on up, David.
Here, let me throw him a link.
Yeah, I just wrote it down. I'm going to try to set up a live stream off of Facebook.
David, if you want to come up here, click on that link and
I have a webcam and a microphone and headset.
webcam, microphone, headset, or earbuds, and we can bring you in here.
He says he's on his cell phone.
It can be done on a cell phone, but it's not as functional.
Yeah, it's kind of wobbly.
All right, so y'all have been playing, you know, the nice calm side. So I guess I'll have to be the bad guy tonight. I'll take on the shoulder weight. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Because if we're going to look at something objectively, we need to look at both sides of the coin. We can't just stare at one side like the Democrats
I was going
do.
to go that way soon. Is what could start it and say we need to talk about what'll kick it off.
Yeah.
So go ahead, SOP. Start us off there.
Well, seeing as how I left my tin hat upstairs, I'm going to have to try and do this without it. So if you see me disappear, that means our ABC group's coming to get me. Anyway, first thing we're going to talk about is the airplane. First thing this morning at about 3 a.m., they said they hit it with 2. Okay. By 9 o'clock, it was still the same. By 11 o'clock, they started changing their stories. By 6 o'clock tonight, Eastern Standard Time, they said they didn't do it. Okay, so they can't tell the truth no matter who's looking at them. Okay, so we can't say that they aren't planning other stuff. They are planning other stuff. The day that our Obama buddy signed that treaty, thanks to Mr. Kerry, they said death to America, death to Israel. That's been the same chant since 1978. Okay, they are planning stuff. For people to underestimate their capabilities is wrong. Their capabilities are extremely spot on. You're not going to shoot down a drone that's 250 miles away, 15,000 feet in the air with one missile and not hit it. They are pinpoint accurate, okay? Don't let the media fool you. They let those crash on purpose. It's to save face. They are planning something bigger. They expected Trump to fight back so they could initiate something higher and have everybody in the world on their side. It fell through because Trump didn't react. What will set off a full-scale problem? The U.S. The U.S. acting again on intelligence. What's to stop the Ayatollah over there from saying, now, you're number 2 man now. Go arrange something. And so number 2 man tells number 3, and number 3 tells number 4. We catch wind of number 4 planning something. We find out up the chain, and we hit them. Now they've got the right to sit there and say, look, we stopped. We're not doing nothing. And they hit us again. They're bad actors here in the U.S. will do something. In Canada, they'll do something. In Germany and England, they will make it a worldwide attack, which then everybody else is going to jump in. And so we got this great big conflagration going on. Okay. It can happen. Is it going to? I pray to God it don't. Okay. Nobody in this world is ready for a war of that nature. And it won't be nuclear. They will not go nuke. They will go high tech. We will lose our infrastructure due to an EMP. That is a guarantee. Every major nuclear power has said in the past 5 years that if it comes down to a full-scale world war, they will go with an EMP, not full nuclear, because they want to be able to salvage something when it's over and done with. Every nation's already said that. We're going to go high tech. We're not going to go backwards to low tech. We're not going to drop a bunch of nukes over here and over there. It will be all atmospheric detonations, and we'll have EMPs radiating around the world, and everybody's going to be back in the 1600s. It won't be like the 1800s where we had some comforts. It's going to be worse. Because nobody in this day and age is prepared for those kind of situations. Nobody. Except maybe the homeless.
Well,
maybe we should start.
Or the Amish.
I mean, it's all circularly dependent on higher tech infrastructure. It's all built upon each other. So if
Too
you
many
destroy,
kids nowadays.
Yeah, if you destroy a bottom layer of it, it all crashes down further than where you were at. I mean,
all you got to do is take out one substation in the eastern section of the U.S., and everything else will cascade down.
Well, you need 9. It's 9 to do it.
Well, the last test I seen, and Gil could probably verify it a little bit better than I can because it's public information. I just haven't read up on it the last couple of years.
Yeah, it was Project Grid Strike.
Substation. Yep, there's one substation out east. We're not going to say where it is because we're not going to do that.
Yeah,
There's one
it was
substation.
originally. They fixed that.
Did they fix it finally?
Yeah, that's why it's 9 now.
It takes 9 to take the grid down.
Well, actually, it only takes one missile with multiple warheads. Almost every country has the capability of multiple re-entry vehicles on a warhead, with the exception of 2 that I'm aware of. We won't say Little Rocket Man's name.
Dave, if you're right about the bad actors over here acting on their orders, they have enough over here that, we are suspicious of, but we don't have proof of to kick them out. That if they are who we believe they are, they could take out not just 9, they could take out 20 or 30 substations and relay stations. Yeah, and that will bring down the grid.
Yeah, that's the whole intent.
Well,
go ahead.
Man, we should do a whole stream on the grid sometime because I can go on that for a long time. I know a lot about the stupid grid.
Next Friday?
There we go.
I'm looking at
As an electrical engineer, yeah, I know a bit about the stupid grid. Well, that's one of the things I was interested in is power systems, power distribution, and all that sort of stuff. I can talk a lot about that one. And yeah, it's interesting if you look at a lot of the war plan scenarios and the tabletop exercises they do and a lot of that other stuff. The U.S. does not expect nuclear. They put that way down the list. We don't do any training for it. We don't do a lot of work on that. It's pretty obvious from the way society reacts today. The U.S. has moved beyond thinking it's going to be cyber. It's going to be, other types of high-tech weapons, other stuff like that. They don't expect nuclear to be a major play. Most of the stuff you see in a lot of the U.S. trainings and talking about today is a limited small nuclear exchanges with like India, Pakistan, other regional conflicts like that of these small nuclear powers, stuff kicking off in Israel. But, as everything, most of the stuff we've heard today is, we worry about terrorism, terrorists getting a hold of some nuke somehow, making dirty bombs, biological warfare. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, we've seen all the sort of stuff they're talking about.
If you guys remember,
that was my job was making the plans for responding to those scenarios you just listed.
Right. If you guys remember back, what was it, 2 years ago, maybe 3, can't remember exactly, when Pakistan and India had that big uproar and everybody, the U.S. went to DEFCON 3. The first time we've been to DEFCON 3 in a good many years, to my knowledge. I could be wrong. But with the U.S. is moving up the chain in DEFCONs, that's an issue. Right now, even with the crap in Iran, we haven't changed our DEFCON rating. Okay, so that should tell people that our highest military government people in the military aren't concerned right now. Now, if we overnight see it go from 5 to 1, put your head between your legs, kiss your booty goodbye, because we got problems. But as long as it stays, down, we're good to go.
Now,
I think even if we went back up to 3 again, we'd still be okay.
Yeah, one of the things on the list there of things they are concerned about above a nuclear exchange is a EMP device being shipped in a cargo container and being detonated in a port.
Yeah, well, actually, you just hit upon one of the scenarios that I see is actually plausible that would be really bad. And here, let me lay it out and see what you guys think. Is I've often thought that a lot of the countries that see us as having our boot on their neck the whole time, Iran, North Korea, Pakistan doesn't like us. All those little, I could see them forming a coalition, and Pakistan sends one, North Korea sends one, and it comes in on a ship, and they shoot it up, so they get it up at the magic number 400 kilometers in each port, detonate the darn thing, and well, what would cause on that is they could hide very effectively who did it. It's very hard to. There would be a lot of investigation. Oh, they did this, right? But by wounding us like that, it would cause us to have to pull all sorts of resources from overseas back to the U.S. on the recovery efforts, because I mean, they project 90% of people die if they lose power for over a year, and we know an E&P is going to do that. So, and by us having to pull away from the world stage like that, these other countries might be delayed to make their big move and regain glory for their nation or something like that. So it's a scenario I put as very worrisome.
I got it, Dave.
Yeah, that's for, let me find her again. Mama Z. She asked about DEFCON. It's DEFCON. If you throw that link up there so people can find it for those who are not aware. I only put the Wikipedia link up there, but that'll get you to the information you need to know and understand what DEFCON is.
Yeah. So that is that link I just threw up there is for this right here. I know it's kind of small. Let me enlarge it a little bit. And it just talks about the where we were at during different DEFCONs in history, and it goes down. It's got a lot of other information down here. And so, yeah. And back out.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the other things that had suspicions on, the U.S. has spent a lot of money in 2000 for better tools to image satellite. I actually worked on one of the projects back then. One of the things they've wondered about for a long time is if Russia or China has a nuclear EMP weapon in a satellite country. They've wanted to know if one exists for a long time, and they've been trying to figure them out, and it's hard to tell. And if they do have one up there, there's literally zero warning. It's an instantaneous event, practically.
Yeah, the problem with trying to find that out is because there are a number of satellites that have miniature nuclear reactors powering them, and so they can't tell.
Well, no, they're actually. You're talking about an RTG. Yeah, you're talking about the RTG. It's not a nuclear reactor. It's a thermal. It's a thermal system. I know how those guys work. Yeah. No, but there's other ones that they think they're using RTGs for camouflaging the radioactive signature of a device in there. And they're very interested. But they can't prove anything. But they've really wondered and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, let's see here. Actually, so now I didn't go all the way. So the other side I was going to bring up is, so while the U.S. has moved away from direct nuclear conflict training, Russia hasn't. Look at how they train their people, the civil defense drills, how they're bringing out new nuclear weapons and stuff like that. They still see nuclear weapons and nuclear missiles as a key part of, their conflict strategy.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand is why we don't still do that. I mean, they quit doing that like 30 years ago. Maybe even more than that.
What?
I know
U.S. military, NBC training? No, NBC training still happens. You have to go through NBC training through basic
schools and everything.
But I think for the people, us the citizens don't do any training.
That never really have, in my opinion.
They quit doing it back in the. I think it's the end of the '60s.
The only reason they did it back then is because of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and that wasn't even government sponsored. That wasn't even government sponsored.
They should, in my book, should do it. That would be well worth their money.
No, they can't, because that would require FEMA, Homeland Security, and the FBI all getting together to train people, and we can't get our ABC agencies to talk nicely to each other to begin with. So we're not going to get a cooperative effort like that, first and foremost. Two, you're talking in this current economy, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars just to put on one course to cross the United States. They're not going to pay for that.
Yeah,
They'll tell you in a little paper pamphlet that's about 3 inches big, oh, by the way, if a nuclear event happens, you may want to do this. And that's it. That's all they're going to tell you, and that's at the very bottom of the page.
If they admit to you that it could happen, they could put out grants for people that
they can't do that, because in this day and age, with the mainstream media the way it is, think of it this way, okay? I can just see the headlines now. DHS puts out a pamphlet in cooperation with FEMA. You need to have stuff like this for in case of a nuclear attack. Holy cow! ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, Turner, everybody would scream top of the headlines. Prepare for nuclear war! It's coming!
You're
Mass
probably,
panic.
you're probably
They
true
can't
there.
do that.
You're probably true there, but I mean, yeah,
I can say with authority, Will, it was discussed and it was shelved faster than it was brought up.
well, I suppose. 'Cause you
Well,
don't-
look at that report that came out, like a year ago, where they were talking about prepare for power grid failures, long-term power outages.
Yeah.
And you read it and they're saying power could be out for 6 months. And they say just have 2 weeks of food.
Yeah,
It's
You
been
can
upgraded.
read and see where people were edited and censored. I mean, if you're used to seeing how these things work, you can read right between the lines, and it must have been a discussions. Well, can we even get away with saying 6 months power outage? Is that going to shock people too much? When they were probably saying, well, let's say it could be up to 5 years. And they're like, oh, we can't say that. You cut that back.
Exactly.
We got to
It
go
would
back to like
create mass
6 months.
yeah, I see all that, but I mean, if they were to be honest with themselves and the public,
Which they will never be, Will.
yeah,
They
Right.
can't because it will cause mass
I
panic.
said we need to
Yeah, it
have
would.
a reset.
Yeah, we can't. The government will not put out the true possibilities of that type stuff because it would cause such a mass panic and a collapse of our economy.
Well, they don't think. Well, they think we're stupid. That's the thing.
No,
Well, no,
it would. An individual is smart,
It
but
probably
people
would.
on the whole are stupid.
Well, look at the way social media and the internet functions. Everyone wants to be in these happy, joy echo chambers. They look at the stuff that's the most popular on YouTube, Facebook, and all this stuff. It's
Mhm.
mindless drivel.
Yep.
Funny cat
Real
videos.
skills, real knowledge, and all that stuff. You get shelved at the bottom. Get it? Oh, hey, I'm going to teach you how to can food. Why would you can food? You can just go to the store and buy it. That's just crazy talk.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear.
Heaven forbid you buy beef at the store, or go buy beef at the store because you didn't know animals were harmed in the making of that beef. Now, we've heard that
Yeah.
one recently too.
Exactly. Yeah,
It's like, people can't show hunting videos. Oh my gosh. And it's like, this is how life worked for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of the people go back to, let's just really stir up the pot all the way back to ancient Israel.
All right.
I'd like
hang on,
to
I'm
see
gonna
them
throw-
back when the Babylonians and Medo and Persians people went in there and took over and killed people left and right and captured people and sent them off to slavery. I wonder how our media would play that off now.
All right. Down here, it just
That
popped
rusted
up here.
traditions. Yep.
Okay. Here's something that most people don't realize. Every time a hurricane heads our way and it's all, and everyone's, they start buying up all the lumber and stuff, prices in California on the other side of the United States skyrocket in lumber stores. Why? Well,
By the man.
what's one of the companies? Georgia Pacific. And Georgia comes first, so that must be where all the lumber comes from. So we better jack up the prices and get as much as we can. And there's a scramble. It's like the run on the bank. It's a
Georgia
rush.
Pacific is owned by Japan.
Yeah, I know.
David, it's
What I'm
called
saying is
COG.
that's what happens with the company. Everyone sees Georgia Pacific. They don't know who owns it. They think, okay, its main headquarters is in Georgia. They don't care where it really is. They see a hurricane coming to Georgia. Oh, crud. Besides everyone on the East Coast there that is in the path of the hurricane, trying to get some plywood and stuff to cover their windows and take the common sense precautions, idiots elsewhere start jacking up the prices, ordering extra lumber as fast as they can to try to get, and it's just ridiculous. So that proves the point that a person can be a genius, can be very smart, but you throw a bunch of people together, they become idiots. It's called group mentality. And it is 50 IQ points lower than the lowest person in that group.
Well, it's proven
That's
fact.
just the way it works. It's just
The same thing over and over and over again. They start believing it.
and so if we were to, if like Dave was saying, and Reed was saying, if it comes out that, oh, this is what we need to prepare for because this is a possibility. The fear mongers in the mass media society are going to go, oh, we got to run with this. We got to put it out there. We got to get the headlines first. We got to make it more sensational than CNN. CNN's like, we got to make it more sensational than Fox News. And Fox News, oh, we got to make it more sensational than, and everyone's just, they blow it out of proportion.
All right, Hooples, what did you say to get your thing?
Well, Hill Publicist is claiming he's banned, but I don't think anyone banned him.
His site's still there. His site is still there.
Well, yeah. What I think is, it looks like
North Star hit him.
Oh, North Star hit him.
North Star hit him because he's a little upset, and he got upset because somebody made a comment about just because you don't like Trump doesn't make the stuff
that was
true
me.
or not true. Right. Yeah. I wasn't going to say that out loud.
Okay.
But he got a little upset, and we need to be able to speak our minds freely without having hate within the speech.
It's a discussion, yeah.
And if we're going to get heated about it, I mean, there's a way to get heated without stepping on toes.
Yeah, you can have a vigorous discussion.
Right.
Yeah, I like to call it vigorous discussion. But yeah, once you start going across the line and calling people names or other things, yeah, I get it.
Then
I didn't see that. I'm not super good at the chat and keeping up with it.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah, bring him back, North Star.
I just take a look down there every once in a while.
Yeah, because Hooples is a good guy. I mean, we're all entitled to our own opinions. I don't agree with him as far as...
I will honestly say, Hooples, I do like you quite a bit, and stuff. I just, when people start arguing specific paradigms, I think that is where we should try to leave that alone. Let's try not to parrot a lot of talking points.
Right.
Yeah. Everyone that has their own opinion, and I know Will's opinion doesn't always match with mine, and I don't always match with Dave or Reed. Yeah, and we all have, we're here together, we're working on something right now, but as you can tell, we all don't agree on everything all the time, but we don't hate each other. We understand and we respect each other's the right to have an opinion.
Right, in Stringfield, that's the reason he was hidden, is because he was getting a little bit of rude, and that's what we're trying to address, is, there's a way to discuss things without being rude about it. I could, having been a truck driver, and I know jokes that'll make sailors blush, I could, be very rude to a lot of people, but that's not the kind of person I am.
Yeah. And I know Howie is very, very
adamant.
Okay.
Adamant, and he's also very,
something like kicked off on my side again.
Yeah, you're frozen.
My town has the worst internet sometimes, and we have one internet provider to choose from, and I've been trying to find a better solution.
You can have this one, or you can have this one.
Yeah. Right now, like you talk, Reed was saying, our internet provider here was Cable One. They got bought out by whatever I can't remember now. Something Star, and it went right down the toilet. But
North Star.
Yeah, but how? Yeah, and.
Okay, you can come back.
Squirrel. But with Howie gets very emotional about certain topics, and he sometimes, I like the guy. He's very intelligent. He's very knowledgeable about certain things, but he's very emotional about certain things too, and he sometimes loses a little bit of his perspective.
Everybody goes down the rabbit hole once in a while.
Yeah. Try taking my gun out of my house. Try taking a gun away from me, and I'll be just as adamant and emotional about it as he is about certain other things. Okay. Of course, I have other things that I'm emotional of. Come try hurting my child, and you'll see a side of me that nobody wants to see.
Yeah. But
and we all have something that we're emotional about. So let's move on from this. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
On to the next.
Everybody, group hug. Kumbaya.
No, no. Go ahead.
See, all right. Let me go ahead and drop this down. So let me go. I gotta go back up here
Now,
and find
actually,
No, I wasn't.
this.
so one of the things, one question I do want to ask everyone is, so what do you guys think would actually kick off global thermonuclear war? I mean, all out, total annihilation attack from all the superpowers.
That's simple.
I think it would be an idiot pushing the button.
No, there's a lot more involved. There's not just a button push. We all know
No.
that.
Well,
No, it's not. It's not even a simple key anymore. You know, it's got such a chain of command before it even gets to the president, where he can open up the football. Okay, that's what that little briefcase is that AC carryover. It's called a football.
What if it isn't our country?
What'd you say, Will? I didn't catch you. Could you
What if
repeat?
it's not our country?
What if it's not our country that kicks it off?
Well, see,
That's what I'm thinking about.
See, the U.S. has pretty much always said we are not going to do a first strike. We are retaliatory. It was ever since we did the attack on Japan, the political fallout and all that has changed the stance, and it's pretty much we are going to retaliate. Actually, so if anyone wants to learn about some of the U.S. policies and all that, there is a museum over in Arizona called the Titan Missile Museum. And it's run by people who used to work in the Titan missile silos and did it. Went over there, got their top to bottom tour. It was cool as heck to see the missile and all this other stuff in there. But they explained a ton of U.S. policy and all that stuff about nuclear warfare and all that stuff that they were doing. And it was super interesting. And like some of the things that are really interesting to know is like the target coordinates your site is designated to hit. The people working there don't know what it is. There is no like self-destruct or recall on a missile. All nuclear weapons the U.S. has are fire, and that's it. They don't stop. And part of it is they figured two things. Is one, the system could be a risk attack, so that it could stop our ability to retaliate. And number two, they wanted people to realize you cannot take this decision back.
Yeah.
There is no reversal. So it was to give pause.
That's why the keys were literally set 20 some odd feet apart, so one person couldn't turn both keys.
And with the key on the right side of the silo. And my dad worked in those on those missiles, and I got to go down in them several times because I worked with my dad. He was an engineer in there, and there was one guy on this end with a key, another guy on the other end with a key. And there's no way that they could touch each other to reverse back what they'd already done. So it was like the guy would have to shoot the guy. If he didn't turn his key, he would have to shoot him. Now, how in the hell after he shoots him is he going to get over there to turn the key?
Now, what's interesting, though, is they were talking about stuff like that. Is so the keys and all that were kind of for show. There was still ways to actually launch the missile. When you got down into the circuitry in the rooms, they talked about like some of the circuits they could repair and stuff. They're like, yeah, you could actually get this thing to go if you did this. It was funny. But that's for a Titan II. I have no knowledge about any other weapon system, so it could be totally different today. Now, some of the other things, though, that are different is like, so we moved away from missile silos because spy satellites let us other countries see where all the silos are, and they became a risk. We much prefer subs being out there to be that silent, and Tomahawk capable aircraft carriers and destroyers and stuff that can launch nuclear weapons on a cruise missile. We much prefer those.
For those who don't know what started changing the landscape of the thermonuclear detonation issues, go look up the SALT Treaty, Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty. That is very informative, and you'll see where the landscape changed for thermonuclear war and mutual destruction issues.
Yeah. It was actually, that was something I got curious about, so I read a lot of like the history and the negotiations. I am amazed any deal got reached. I am freaking amazed that
I remember
they actually
when it got reached. I remember watching it on TV.
Not me. I was too young for that, but still, heck, interesting. It's like, how did they even reach something on this?
A lot of backroom dealing. Now, North Star Prep Center proposed that possibly an
back.
EMP could cause World War III. Now that would be, I think, looking at what she was putting out there and what I'd mentioned before, if one of these smaller players, like I can't say the guy with the funny haircut across the Pacific, or one of those guys over there supporting the Ayatollah, one of those groups were to get an EMP device, get it in a shipping container, move it around, get it on a ship coming to either New York, Long Beach, or Oakland loading station, the cargo handling stations, and before it has a chance to be inspected, set it off. Someone might think that, oh, we just had a nuclear strike here in New York City.
Yeah, launch.
But there's no launch, but still someone else, another country, seeing that goes, oh crud, it's off, fire all ours. That might happen. Might. But other than a third player seeing the EMP device go off in the U.S., thinking it is, and deciding to push their button, I really don't see an EMP starting WW3.
It's interesting you say that, Gil, because two things I remember is there were some papers that came out of Russia and China, and they were talking about how an EMP-only attack they wouldn't see as justifying a full-on nuclear retaliation. And it was a very interesting set of papers to read. And then the other one was, I've often wondered if they know this is it for them, would they vindictively launch? It's something I've wondered.
Yeah. Okay. And you just pixelated there for after you talked. You said papers from Russia and stuff, and then you pixelated.
Oh yeah. So papers from Russia and China saying that they don't see an EMP as a justification for a full-on nuclear strike. Then the other thing I said, what I've wondered is, would a country facing possible annihilation, plague, economic, grid failure, cyber attack, asteroid impact, and all that, would they be vindictive and launch, saying we're not going to go out, we're taking the world with us? I mean, it's a question of the leadership, but I've wondered that is, could you get a crazy guy or general decide to do something like that?
That would probably be my end of it. It would have to be somebody in authority that.
Night, Anthony.
That would.
See it, Palmetto.
I'm not going all by myself. You got to take somebody with me.
Yeah, and the premises behind that vary so much.
Night,
as far as if it is a country that's been picked on by another country and driven into that state, maybe. But if it's a combination of things, their economy ruined, their everything just totally wiped out by another country, economically and everything else, and then some natural disaster hits as well. Now you're adding another card to their hand, and that could sway their opinion. So we're getting into semantics here of how many straws is going to go on top of that camel before it breaks its back, and it's going to push the button.
And Anna, or Jay, an EMP set at the right altitude, yes, it will cause an EMP, or a nuke will cause an EMP at the right altitude.
Yeah, especially it's up in the. Reed, what's the level it needs to be at?
Stratosphere.
400 kilometers. Will detonate it over the central U.S. will take out most of it.
Yeah.
So they don't take one then at that?
Yeah, one. Actually, but for full saturation to take out Canada and the U.S. and most of Mexico, 2 would do it in the right place. And it's really well known. Once you get further away from the epicenters, The small electronics will keep working, like cell phones like that, because they won't have as many fast-moving electrons coming down into the regions, penetrating the atmosphere and, taking those out. But even at the places where that's not taking out the small electronics, the grid's destroyed because of the long wires will pick up so much energy.
And it just carry it for miles and miles and miles.
Also, some of the other ones that was interesting to read about is apparently they expect many explosions from gas lines and oil pipelines because they'll pick up a lot of energy too and get very hot.
Not to mention the fact that the safety valves and everything else that are normally there protecting them from going poof will no longer be functional.
Exactly.
And also, we say EMP, we're talking about the big one, but every nuke actually makes an EMP. It's just if you detonate one at ground level, it's a very localized event.
I was just kind of seeing it. I was looking at that in the chat.
That's not the only EMP we have to worry about either. The sun.
But
yeah, we found
if you did one at 400 kilometers above the U.S., then that could just mean that they could set one off at 400. We could set one off at 400 kilometers over like Asia or something like that, and that would only be 2/3 of the Earth that would actually be hit.
Yeah.
We'll be able to reconstruct from there.
Now, sorry, go ahead, Gil, or whoever.
All right, I'm throwing something up here. If you go to the A.S.S.E.T.center.com under Preparedness Fair handouts into the Shelley Preparedness Fair, this is an EMP presentation put out by Ben Gilmore. It covers all the different levels of EMP stuff. It's very informative. It doesn't have half the information on it because he talks half the information while the PowerPoint's going on, but you'll still pick up a whole lot of information from this PowerPoint. So if you go to the A.S.S.E.T.center.com, click on the preparedness fairs. I'll just run you through it again here. And then the Shelley ready? And there it is. And it's free. You can download it. Ben put this out there for everyone to look at.
There's also actual lobbying organizations that have been focused on EMP for a long time, trying to get the government to get off their rear end and protect the grid. And one of them is called Impact America. I think it's like EMP A.S.E.T. America or something like that. They do it, and it was an offshoot sponsored by one of the guys on the Congressional EMP Commission. Are you looking for it, Gil?
No, I was just saying thank you to Kathy. No, which one do you want me to look up?
Oh, it's called Impact America. I think. EMP Act America, I think is how you spell
it. Trump did recently sign into executive order, I guess, some legislation that would start protecting our grid better.
I was looking at that. Oh, they're still up. Yeah. EMPActAmerica.org. Yeah.
Okay, I see it's starting to come up here.
Yeah, so this is one of the lobbying groups I know working hard on this. Now, one of the things, one of the legislations I saw go through, they were talking about it's a lot of trying to get directives to say do this sort of thing to protect the grid. Unfortunately, it's one of those unfunded mandates, and there's not really any teeth behind it. So I'll give a sad face on that.
So, he's trying.
Oh, I'm all for trying. I just wish we could actually get something together on this.
All right, so let me grab the here, and I'll throw that in there. There we go, and down there. And I'll pull it back so we're big again. There we go.
Special.
Okay. Kathy's beating me to it again.
Oh, is Kathy North Star?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, hi, Kathy. I didn't know what your name was.
Yes. All right. Where are we here?
We're 2 turns from the left end.
Yeah.
I think we may want to turn around and we're going to start all drinking that Kool-Aid. I'm not mentioning the guy standing behind you with black sunglasses and black suits pointing at you saying, drink the Kool-Aid.
Drink it. It's good for you.
No, the reason I left is I heard a bunch of sirens coming up near the house and then they quit. So I had to make sure I wasn't getting hit again.
They're coming for you again.
No, I had to make sure they weren't. I snuck out the back door and looked.
Here. Okay. All right. Okay, what did Okay. Well, Reed, I just turned you into a Smurf.
Oh, good grief.
Oh no. There goes the neighborhood.
Well, hey,
see.
he fit right in just the way he was the other night. Smurfs walk around with, no shirt and a hat. So, I mean.
Yeah. But yeah, so EMPs, there are different types of EMPs. There's your low level, there's your high altitude EMP, then there is Mother Nature.
Well, that one's a very special case.
Thank you,
and there's nothing we can do to defuse Mother Nature going.
Yeah, and we know it's happened in the past, and we know it's coming.
That was only
It's happened a lot in the past.
An X10. Anything X10 or bigger can shut down parts of the power grid.
Yeah.
We had an X40 that was aimed away from the Earth, thank God. There was an X40 that hit a couple of years back. That went off to
that was like 2013 over by Halloween, right?
Yep. If that would hit the Earth, we would have went back to about the 1600s. It would have been a very, very bad day.
One of the things to really keep in mind about the solar one, okay, I'm not trying to fearmonger everyone. Don't freak out. But it's something to keep in mind to be aware. If you get a really, really big one, like an X100, and yes, they've happened, that have actually hit the Earth, it can flux the Earth's magnetic field, meaning bend it so far that even the side not facing the Earth will have their power grid destroyed because of how much the magnetic field is moved and will move back, causing immense, massive currents. So you could get one big enough to destroy the power grid worldwide. It's possible.
And to something to illustrate that, when I was working for a construction company, we had a huge arc/TIG welder unit. This thing was 4.5 feet tall, 3 foot wide, 4 feet deep. It was a massive plant. I mean, that sucker cranked up. I mean, they welded with 1/4 inch rod with that sucker. And the cables, the welding cables weren't the normal that size. They were that size. And there were two, they had the two leads looped up on the one side of the machine off big old hooks they put on it. When they started welding with the bigger rod, that extra cable would go up against the side of the machine. All copper cable, but it's making a magnetic field, and it just pulled itself right up against it. And that's what would happen. Going around, you're going to get that, and when it moves, that electrical field moving back will generate an electrical surge.
Now, there's a lot of channels right now out there spreading fear, saying we're in a grand solar minimum. It's here. It's here. No, it's not. If you go look at the sun, and if you don't understand anything about the sun, there's only one channel I can point you to. Suspicious Observers. He has a sun series. It teaches you about the sun. The sun is now showing signs of it going into cycle 25. We are starting to see sunspots show back up on the sun. So we're not in the grand solar minimum. We're actually transitioning into the next cycle.
Yeah.
There's channels out there spreading it. Just so you know, we're not in the grand solar minimum. We're not.
Well, the one thing I've always been confused about, the grand solar minimum thing and all that. Solar minimums and maximums, I don't know why people keep talking about the sun's going to get dim. They don't have anything to do with that. It's all about sunspots and solar activity levels. So, okay, there's my confusion
It's
for
solar
them.
activity and
Right.
sunspots. You're right. When we have none, we're at a solar low. When we have lots, we're at a solar high. And not the kind of high that most of the Californians and Coloradoans like.
Now,
Yeah,
actually, though,
not the high of altered
Correct.
states.
Now, the one thing I do know is when you're most likely to get one of those big flares going off is when the sun seems to be transitioning, either waking up or slowing down.
Right.
It seems to be right at those switching of the cycles is when things most likely to pop off.
And that, and it's when the sun's polar fields actually flip is when we get the biggest one.
All right, so there's suspicious observers, and I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger here. The sun, the earth, the magnetic field, see how it's fluctuating? That's what we were talking about.
Solar flares.
But yeah, so suspicious observers. Let me see if I can get this to work right and pull up his.
Go to the playlist.
Yeah. I got something here. This should work, I think.
Yep.
If not, it'll take you to one of the videos that you can get back to the homepage real easy. Yeah, so yeah, as far as cycles and stuff goes, there are some people say one thing about the solar minimums, maximums, and others say other things about it. And yeah, I don't know enough about it to other than know that they both can't be right.
No. And I'm not saying I'm 100% most knowledgeable on it. Ben over there at Suspicious Observers knows way more than any of us do. He's written several peer-approved papers, so he's got backing from other scientists.
Yeah, you're way past my skill level.
And I've been studying the sun since 2012, and I still have a lot to learn. So when I say that we're actually transitioning into the next solar cycle, I say that with a great deal of understanding of where we are actually with the sun.
Now, I'm not sure who it was that's saying this, and maybe one of the homestead community that's out here in the side chat can clue me in on it. Several weeks ago, maybe a month ago, not more than a month ago, one of the channels was talking about the sun on their solar panels and how over the years it's dropping lower, and now the solar panels are being partially blocked either by trees or a building on their property, something that hasn't moved. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's built in the wobble of the Earth. I mean, it doesn't spin completely circle. It has a wobble.
I know.
The Earth is egg-shaped, and it
bobbles. Yeah, and it
it's
goes
like a drunken sailor running around the sun.
Now, SOP is right on that, but for that sort of a giant amount of movement they're talking about, I don't think the periodicity is that quick. I'm much more suspicious if they've had settling in their landscape. I've wondered if maybe where they've had like the ground has settled or something like that and changed a little bit on. I mean, look at like how much Yellowstone has moved around over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So I think that much of a dramatic change, I would be more likely to think something local has happened to their area versus the sun has moved that much.
Just for a point of information, back in 2012 when I first started watching Suspicious Observers and started learning about the sun, the Earth was at a 23-degree tilt. It is now at 23.5 degrees. And while most people are going to think a half a degree don't make a hell of beans, if it moves another half degree, we're in trouble. The Earth cannot sustain what is on this Earth at 24 or worse degrees. We have moved a half a degree in the last, decade. Just for a point of information.
Yeah. But yeah, there's you also figure from the center of the Earth going out 90 degrees, and you start breaking it down. That's a couple 100 miles shift. But yeah, there is so much that even with all our knowledge, we are still learning about. I'm not saying all ours, not just the panel. I'm talking about human scientists around the world. We are still learning so much more.
If they're just now starting to understand the fact that the solar magnetic field actually changes the way our climate is. And
Hey, Gunslinger.
There's 100 or so peer-reviewed papers out there right now, and the climate people at the UN, I don't remember the exact designation for it. It's another ABC group. In 2022, they're actually going to finally admit what the sun actually causes to our current climate. And that's because all these other scientists from around the world, not just here in the US, but around the world, have gone through the geologic records and have seen the correlation between the sun's output and certain characteristics here on the Earth. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that 40 years ago nobody knew anything about, but because of technology, better satellites, better imaging, and better understanding of what we're pulling out of the cores, we're able to see more and more stuff.
Hey, Reed, did you know anything about that observatory?
Yeah, I'm actually answering it. So, okay, so since I live down here, we learned a lot about that. Okay, so I'm trying to say this without getting us in trouble. It was related to the exploitation of minors. Okay, people trading things through the mail that was very, very bad, that the U.S. takes a very dim view on, and we treat very seriously. So the Postal Service had a package was exposed. They realized what it was. The feds were called in. They knew where it was going. They shut the place down to collect all evidence. That makes sense?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I'll go check out.
when did that happen?
If my memory is right, it was like last year or 18 months ago around then. And they shut down. It's at a little tiny town solar observatory they had down there, but it was one person trafficking in bad material, and so they went in to shut everything down, and they gathered up everything to find out what the heck was going on.
So that means they took all the computers, all the equipment like that, anything that could store data. And
well, actually, a lot of the computer they weren't, because of where he had access to. They were only interested in those. Okay. So some stuff was still left there, because they scope it out in the investigation. They want to know, does he have access to this? We want everything he has access to, Right. So if he had no access to an area, they weren't as concerned.
Right. So, but the stuff they did take, though, probably caused not irreparable, but severe degradation of their ability to operate.
Well, yeah, and stuff, but they actually, it's from, I don't know. I was going to say what I remember, I think it was mainly physical materials that was being traded, but I can't say that for certain because I believe the case is still open.
Yeah.
Because anyone who hasn't been involved with justice, it takes a freaking long time for things to move.
Yeah. Now, but that place is still shut down then, right?
No, they're back open.
They're back open?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. They're back open.
Yep. Now we can take our tin hats off again. Because boy, there was a whole lot of tin hat theories back when that happened. Every single fear porn YouTuber out there had some kind of conspiracy theory about what had happened, and I actually quit watching YouTube for a while.
She got it. She got it posted. She posted it real quick.
Is that like Area 53 or whatever?
No. It's just a observatory. They like states like New Mexico that are low population. They love it out here because there's very little light pollution.
Okay. So it has to do with outer space.
What was that, Will? Sorry.
Do with outer space.
Yeah, I mean, they like telescopes out here because of so little light. Because we don't have large cities everywhere and stuff.
So you can see farther.
And clear.
Yeah, and clear.
No, the Earth isn't going to freeze again.
Yeah. Well, all right. So we're getting far afield of the main topic.
What was that again?
Not th-
I've seen too many shiny things in rabbit holes. I forgot where we were going.
Yeah, we had too many squirrels running around here. But not that this isn't interesting. We were talking about we got off onto it with the EMP
Together.
and went from man-made EMP to Mother Nature EMP, and I'm sorry I brought that part up, but
You didn't read this.
no, I brought it up first, and then Reed took off with it.
I
But
didn't find it all on read.
as far as the
He did it to me.
other possibilities of something triggering WW3, I want to go off in a different direction here a little bit, possibly here. We've talked about our friends there in the Middle East and those problems possibly doing it. And we've danced around a little bit about the gentleman over there with the funny haircut across the Pacific. What other things are there? And I'm thinking around our Cossack friends and the countries that they're dealing with. Does anybody see any possibility of their actions over there triggering a slide down the slippery slope?
Are you talking
I'm trying to
about,
dance around in case it's a taboo subject with YouTube to talk about what's been going on over there they're moving troops into that country so they get access to something else there. But yeah,
you must be talking about where we just got kicked out of.
Yay, I'm back.
you're back.
The Kurds got kicked out of that area. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm
Hi,
talking
Kathy.
about that. It was back when Obama was president, and they moved a bunch of troops on the border, and then they came passed over the border. I can't think of the name of the country right now. It was big and hot there for a while, and it sort of died down as far as in public relations, but they're still in that country over there that were Russia moved into. I think
Into the U.
Starts with a, I was thinking Q.
yeah. Yeah. Ukraine.
Yep. We can say the name. We just can't say too much about it.
Right. Does anybody see that possible?
That is a possible flashpoint. Yes.
Or
Okay, I'm lost. What did I miss? We're now on Ukraine.
Talking about Ukraine.
Yeah, I was thinking about another spot in the world that could trigger WW3.
I don't.
Yeah,
I
messing
don't-
with Ukraine is a dangerous one because Crimea is like one of Russia's, vitally strategic important ports, and they have the bases down there.
There that they want.
Yeah, I mean, like if we tried to get pushed Ukraine to join NATO, that would kick off a major conflict. Is one I could easily see, or we keep fudging around in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a tit for tat for about the last 12 years, and it's gotten a whole lot worse. It's one frog hair away from going sideways.
Yeah. How bad do you think it could get? Would it be I'm not sure. I look at it and I say, yeah, okay, no, we're not going to. I don't think the United States is going to go in there to the point of causing, other countries to react back to us. I don't see us doing that.
Just look at the term proxy war, which is what we're currently fighting. We're fighting a proxy war, and that's what will start the long road down that hole. If it's going to wind up in a WW3 situation, it will be because of a major proxy war.
Yeah, and one of the other, though, that I think is also a very important possibility to think about is, because like Putin believes in Russian supremacy. I mean, that is one of the key things to remember about Putin. And being over in that country quite a bit and understanding things, if Russia gained a very strategic advantage in the equation of being able to survive World War III and take us out with an initial strike and all that, depending on how our relations are, they might go first strike. They could really deteriorate, and if they thought they had the strategic advantage or the technology to be that far ahead, they may go for it, and stuff. So it's one of those things I think people get really don't understand about Russia, and a lot of things also people really mess up in Russia. They often say Russia's GDP is the size of Texas. Okay, Russians don't have debt. They hate banks over there because of how bad everything came apart in the 90s. If a Russian has a BMW, he paid cash for the darn thing. If their apartments they own, all the appliances they own, they have very, very little debt over there. So their GDP isn't inflated by massive consumer borrowing like ours is. And you kind of look at the technologies they've put out and some of the weapon systems they've been deploying. Once things sort of settled out after the 90s and the 2000s kicked in, they've been putting major effort into becoming a world superpower again, and things. So it's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah. So
It would be a problem with Ukraine. I think if Ukraine can keep their country without being invaded by Russia, here's what I see Russia as. I see Russia taking care of Antarctica. If you think about it, they have all this land in Antarctica. And no way of fighting for that land. They just have it. They have underground bases and all kinds of stuff there.
Now, one of the things though is if you meet Russians and know Russians, they are a wonderful people. I mean, people all over the place are actually it's the governments that usually are the problem. It's like how many of us scream at our own government saying, "What the hell is wrong with these people?"
Yeah,
right?
if they would have democracy there, it would be a great country.
Well, they have when Gorbachev and all that, when they signed Perestroika and they put that in to redo everything, they actually developed a very effective democracy. The problem is they set up a strong executive. Okay, America's actually extremely lucky because we had all the founding fathers do a tradition of the peaceful transfer of power. If we had sort of set it up and we didn't have those people set that tradition in place, we could have ended up in a dictatorship, just like kind of what's gone on over there. And Russia's weird is a lot of people still don't believe in voting over there, stuff like that, and things. So it's kind of hard to say. They actually got a democracy, but kind of don't too at the same time. It's a mess. I'll put it that way. Let's leave it at that. It's a mess.
It is a mess.
Okay.
As long as Putin's in charge, they'll never have a true democracy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it a true democracy, no. And a lot could be done.
Yeah. And one quick thing here before I move it on here, because I got a thing the side chat wanted to bring up here. As long as Putin thinks he's going to lose all his niceties, he's not going to push the button.
Right.
He likes his niceties. All right. So
it would actually take as like a lot of the other oligarchs in Russia pushing for something, and that he's risking losing that. And there's a calculus involved, but it all centers around the idea of Russian supremacy, and stuff like that. They're not going to give up their cushy jobs and stuff like that. So, I mean, you'd have to have a lot to go in there on that or something like that. But like the chat's brought up, is actually China I see as the really big danger these days.
Yeah,
that's coming down here in a second. But
I could say India and Pakistan.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about them, guys. Someone else is going to have to take over on that for me.
Now, I know India has the big boys. Does Pakistan have big boys? All right, so they both have big boys.
That was the big deal back when we had that big hubbub.
Army.
Yeah, so they both have the big boys, and they don't like each other severely. They have some real ideological and religious differences there. So that could, if someone goes zealot, could be a problem there. And then Tibor said he thinks China is the sleeping monster. And then Negotiator brought up Venezuela. And I don't know what he's talking about, having Russia and China come into Venezuela. Anybody know?
China and Russia, mainly China, has went in there and taken over almost all the police forces. There's a couple, I don't know, what was it, a year and a half, 2 years ago, there was several news reports, not mainstream, but the outside news, talking about, there's a couple documentaries done on China going into Venezuela and taking over police departments because they weren't able to. So China volunteered, hey, we'll come over, we'll take care of that for you.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since I heard it.
Yeah.
You don't hear nothing about it now. I don't know why. Maybe they left. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a story floating around where they were talking about like Russians came down to collect a whole bunch of gold from Venezuela. Anyone know if that's true or just baloney?
I heard something about it, but I don't see how that could be true.
Yeah. The other thing about China that I've heard about has to do with like the Philippines and several of the other countries over there. China manages their power grid for them, sent engineers and did stuff, and slowly over the years, the tech manuals are no longer in Tagalog, which is the Philippine language, and the other some of the other countries, it's not in their native language anymore. It used to be in both languages, and now it's just in Chinese only. And supposedly, all the stuff is computer controlled, which means that China can shut it down from their mainland.
And China owns half the U.S. now too. So, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, got some information back here about stepping back. Pakistan's is small nukes for use on the battlefield, not this big city busters. Oh, CR is leaving. All right. See you later, CR.
Night, CR.
Yeah, I want some of those AKs that Ukraine got.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's, I'm not sure how much trouble China could cause out there in the Pacific with the several half dozen to a dozen countries that they, quote, run their power grids for them. But, that's all, I'm not sure how much trouble they could actually cause. I don't think there's anything that could trigger a WW3 out there.
No, but that's one way for them to keep them countries in line. Don't you dare go against us, or we'll turn off your power.
Yeah. Pakistan had a lot of power.
Yeah, I heard that
several years ago
that the Philippines is demanding that they start bringing the manuals back and start retraining their people. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that gives China a massive amount of influence over those areas.
Remember, Pakistan is where we found what's his name?
Yeah.
It's also where we dropped our MOAB in the mountains.
Yep. So I wouldn't count them out. I think they could be a sleeper.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some of the big issues that are going to come up with China for sure is going to be like Hong Kong and Taiwan. Some of those parts that the U.S. has been discussing.
Yeah.
Hong Kong right now is a hotbed. I would not want to be there.
I wouldn't want to be there either.
No. Yeah. But so I think we've put to bed the possibility from Iran right now.
Highly unlikely is where I label it.
Yeah.
That's just what I do.
No, so it's down for a nap.
But black swan events happen. I mean, that's why we prep, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
we're gonna have our ins and outs for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that most of our ins and outs are either gonna be with China, Iran, or Russia.
Yeah.
They're the big ones, and it's all going to be like a Monopoly or a chess game. And
I just had something pop in my brain here. Since China has such a economically invested interest in the United States economy, they don't want to see our economy go down because they're going to lose all that money.
Spoiler alert, guess what? Their economy's going to the toilet.
Yeah, but and that's why they don't want ours to go down, because they want to pull money in from us. They then have a vested interest in keeping these rogue players from causing serious damage to our grid. I'm just thinking this out here. So in essence, we could have a small warped guardian angel out there. They're an intelligence agency, which, as far as I know, has no name other than being called Beijing. Could be out there also looking to make sure that none of these rogue players attack our grid. That's just me theorizing. What do you think?
yeah,
On the plausibility scale, I give it an 8.
all of the billionaires of the world, they don't want to go to war. It will screw
You obviously haven't read their books yet.
their pocketbooks up.
Yeah, there we go.
One thing you fail to remember, Will, is war means money. Especially when you're playing both sides of the coin. You're getting paid from both sides. War is money.
Yeah.
Now, a black swan, I'll answer that real quick, is a black swan event means it is a very, very unlikely event. Like, if you were going to worry about something, there's the last on your list, and that's the one that gets you.
Little green men coming down in spaceships and taking over the world.
Well, it's generally got to be in the realm of possibility, Gil.
Yeah, I know. It is.
Don't you know it's gray men? It's not green. They're gray.
They're gray.
I thought they were green because they were reptilian.
Their heads are oval.
Well, yeah, they're reptilian. Their planets didn't have an asteroid come in and wipe out the dinosaurs. Their dinosaurs evolved.
I thought they lived in the core of our Earth.
Yeah.
Gee, I got to get up to date on this stuff. Dang.
Yeah. So, like Tyler said, he hates black swan events because, they're one of the last things you prepare for. And it's the thing comes back and bites you.
That's my motto. If you prepare for most everything, you'll be prepared for most anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny is we all usually come to prepping from, well, most people I talk to from a very, like they have their one thing, like an EMP, pandemic or something. You start there and then you start realizing, if I do this, I can be more flexible. If I do this, I'll be more flexible. And then you start rounding yourself out. And then you realize, I can just handle all sorts of things.
Yeah, that's what if you look at it, that actually does start like that. You start out with this one little niche. By the time you start tweaking it around, you've got this humongous toy that you're playing with saying, hey, I can do all kinds of crap.
Yeah. Well, like Tyler's saying there, it could be one which you don't even foresee. It's a possibility that you just never thought of.
It probably will be the one you'll never thought of.
Yeah.
Oh, crap, I didn't think of that. Now look where I'm at.
Yeah. It's like, after I've been doing emergency preparedness for
Nice drink, Bill.
48 and a half years. And there is still a lot of stuff that I don't feel I'm ready for. Now, I've had other people tell me, oh, man, you're so ready for that. I go, I don't think so. But
it's only the idiots out there that claim they're prepared. I mean, that they're ready for the event.
Yeah. And,
I don't even stuff I think I'm mastered on. I know I cannot understand what it really means. I'm not ready. No one is.
Yeah.
Well,
that's just my rant.
We've got so many knuckle-dragging, testosterone-filled buffoons thinking they're the cat's meow and everything. And you know what? It's them same stupid, ignorant fools. Excuse my language here for a moment. I'm gonna stand on my soapbox. Sorry, Gil, but it's them same knuckle-dragging buffoons who think they're gonna go down to Virginia carrying their long guns and be full battle rag, walking up to the Capitol building. Guess what? Because of them same knuckle-dragging buffoons, Virginia just went gun-free at the Capitol. You cannot go there with a gun now on the 20th. You can't. You will be arrested. You will be charged with a felony. So if you're going to go there, be smart. That's all I got to say. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Always carry. Always.
Yeah, there's a whole rant I've got about Virginia too. I could go off on that one for a while.
Me too. That's why I said I'm getting off my box.
The thing is that, you talk about being prepared. You think you are pretty prepared. Then you get into these little talk sessions like we're having tonight, and you get to talking with other people, and you go, man, I didn't really think about that. And I thought I had that figured out, It's just the way it is,
Yeah. So Dave, when did that announcement come out?
Today.
Okay. I hope
I only caught a snippet of it, and I was in the process of trying to locate something, so I didn't catch it all.
Yeah.
But the Capitol building and the surrounding area is gun-free.
The Jared posted of Guns and Gadgets posted an update to that. Apparently, it's just the Capitol building. The city is not yet though. So if you're in the city, you're probably okay. But stay away from the Capitol.
Cautious.
Yeah, give the governor and their rogue attorney general time to expand it. He's got 9 days to expand it out.
Well, they talk all this crap before they get there. By the time they get there, they got the whole damn thing shut down of guns because they talk too much shit.
Yeah, exactly. There's too many of them out there going, blah 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 blah, beat my chest, and saying stuff so friggin' stupid that they're freaking out the other side, and so the other side is having a knee-jerk reaction saying, oh, you're not going to do this now, we're going to stop you now.
Yeah, I'm not beating my chest unless I put my plate carrier on because I'm not giving myself bruises.
Yeah, ow.
And the same people though are the ones that you can never get to write a letter, never get to go with you to go talk to them.
Yeah, all they do is run their mouth on YouTube.
Yeah. I'm like, when's the last time you actually wrote a letter? When did you call one? When have you talked to one? I don't do that. I don't believe it.
27 emails in the last 3 weeks trying to talk to senators. And I get the same response out of everyone, including the ones here in Ohio. We only talk to people in our district.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Even the one from my district said, I don't want to get involved. I said, so when they start doing it here in Ohio, what are you going to do? He hasn't responded.
Yeah, because it's coming everywhere. This is a testing ground.
It's not even a testing anymore. It's going to happen. The laws are already passed. The 20th is just to discuss it. Laws already passed. They take effect July 1st.
Yeah, I mean, they've already counted their votes. I mean, they already know how it's going down. Yep. I mean, unless something radical changed, yeah, it's pretty much a done deal.
Yep. And then the only recourse now is to try and get it into court so there can be at least a stay put on it so they can't enact the laws on the 1st and get it into the court system. Yeah. But they have to move ASAP. They can't sit on their laurels and wait till the 1st to do something about it. They got to do it now.
Well, that's something I thought we've had a major screw up in our own system is the founders never foresaw people running the government like this because they thought, people were going to actually be accountable. Yeah. And once they started getting protections and all this other stuff that could isolate themselves from the consequences of their actions. Yeah, exactly. They started doing this. It was a major problem. We really needed stuff on the book saying, like, if you have a law that you guys voted for and it's later declared unconstitutional, yeah, personal jail time. No sovereign immunity for you, jerk.
Well, if they get to the thing and they actually don't cause any problems and actually have speakers that know what they're saying, they could probably get a stay from it. Just by all the people showing up and doing the right things instead of the...
I hope It's just I've seen. It's funny. When I was young and stupid, I believed a lot in the system, but now I'm old and cynical. I don't have much faith in things going the
Why
right
did you jump
way
in the
anymore.
boat finally? Why did you finally jump in the
I
boat?
don't either, but I keep wishing. I guess I was just because of my age and how much I want it to go right. I guess.
I mean, it's crazy. You can present the best logical argument, talk to them, it's like that, and they're like, yeah, I just don't want to support that. I don't believe in this and all this other stuff. It doesn't matter about reason, facts, or anything. It's just, yeah, they want that money, they want that connection, they want that favor, the whatever's pushing them, they're doing it that way.
I have no faith in our government. This is the only thing I've got faith in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And my cat says, I want to read.
And actually, the funniest thing to me is all the time is I always thought it was weird is how a lot of people who used to work for the government became the biggest, complainers about it. I get it. I totally get it now. Gone through that field myself. I understand. You work for them, you get to find out just how underfunded, how mismanaged, how the upper echelons are just, oh man, so bad.
The ones that have been there but that give a shit, but they just are tired of being turned back. So they just don't have the get up anymore. I've been there. I've been through all the protests. I've been there, wrote so many friggin' letters. I still do it. I am totally on Twitter every day, but I'm only me. I can only do what I can do. I can't do it for everybody.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, it's almost 10 o'clock here in Idaho, which means we've been up here for 2 hours.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But we were just getting started and having fun.
Yeah, I know we're having fun. I'm just not sure how long everybody wants to stay up here having fun.
I ain't got nowhere to go.
Well, yeah, I actually got to get a couple things done myself.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I do have it written down. I'm going to see if maybe we can get something put together for next Friday night and do like a conspiracy theory one.
Actually, next Friday, I want to do the what Reed suggested earlier. The
power grid.
Power grid. It's what should talk about our power grid, the shape, its strengths, its weaknesses, its its rotting in structure, and how it affects us and how we can survive it going down.
Horses. Get you some horses.
Or bicycles with big, fat, flat-proof tires.
Hey, I'm too doggone old to pedal my ass around the damn state of Ohio or Michigan or any other damn state. I'm getting me a horse.
See you later, Steve.
Get you some cats.
All right, Steve, if you're still here, Monday morning, yeah, you can ride me all you want. We got hit. There's snow out here.
Hi, Steve.
All right. Night, guys.
Bye. All right. See y'all later. Thank you for coming. And thank you, everybody in the side chat. See you later.
Bye, Titan.